I just earned $509,000, $500,000 for scanning one animal. Welcome back to No Man's Sky, everyone. Jason here with 3 tips that you need to know if you're just beginning the game. If you're just starting the game, here are 3 things that will help you out a ton in No Man's Sky. And the first thing is, when you get your multi-tool, you can add upgrades to it. And specifically, you want to start adding your scanner upgrades right here. So these are black market upgrades. You start out with C class, you go up to B and A and S. The black market upgrades are kind of a gamble because the black market upgrades can be really good or really bad. It's randomized. But once you what you're seeing right now is I am getting an increase in money depending on what I'm scanning. So you see flora analysis reward. It is multiplying the money that I earn every time I scan a plant by 10,000%. So you normally start off with just 500. You earn 500 bucks per plant that you scan. But once you start adding those upgrades to it, you'll start earning more and more money. And so once you start getting really good upgrades in here, or multiple upgrades, watch this. I'm going to scan a plant over here. Right here, plant life. I will scan it. I don't know what it is, so every time you scan a brand new plant, it will give you some cash for doing that. I just earned $87,000 for scanning a plant. That's it. And the better part is, especially for the veterans out there who've been playing the game for a while, now we can scan minerals, rocks, and stones, and earn money that way as well. So before the endurance update, if you scanned a rock, it would only give you like 200 bucks. So now if you scan rocks and you have some upgrades in there on your multi-tool, I'm earning 67,000 for scanning every rock, and this is for every single one. Now you can't scan the same type over and over again. Like these two are the same, so I can't scan it. But there's a new one right here. Scan it again. I'm gonna get another 67,000 for it, which is awesome. And the better part is you can scan animals and earn a ton of money. So let's scan this guy right over here. He looks like a good animal right here. I just earned $509,000, $500,000 for scanning one animal. That is why you really want to do this, especially in the beginning of the game. This is a great way to make a ton of money. You won't be making that much at first. You need to get really good upgrades, but as you're upgrading, you will earn more and more and more money. The second big thing is the terrain manipulator has different sizes on it. So once you get the terrain manipulator right in the beginning of the game, you'll see I can dig a hole in the ground, right? Well, if you didn't notice, if you hit left and right bumper on your controller, that's L1 and R1, you actually make it bigger and smaller. See, look at that, boom. Now the benefits to this are pretty substantial. So if you do the smaller orb, the smallest one here, let me get it. The smallest one, it'll give you the most resources out of a deposit. So you'll get a ton of resources. The downside is it'll use a lot more fuel. So you're going to burn through fuel really quickly when you do this. If you want to just get rid of something, like if you're building a base or you're just trying to clear out a spot because you want to do something there, use the biggest one. It won't give you that many resources. Like, watch this. I'll hit this. I only got 8 copper, and I took out, look at that, a huge chunk of it. But if I were to use a smaller one, I will get a ton of copper, and I'll just do a little tiny bit at a time. So you always want to use the smallest one when you're mining for resources. Use the bigger one if you just want to get it out of the way. Just move it out of the way, boom. Use the big one, and you're going to get a little bit of resources, but you're mostly worried about just clearing it out of the way. Use the smallest one. And the medium one will give you the medium sized. So you're going to get, medium sized. You'll use an average. That's the default setting. So you're always going to default to the medium sized beam if you're using your terrain manipulator. If you want to get more resources, go smaller. Bigger one gives you less resources, but gets it done faster. And it uses less fuel for that. So there you go. That is amazing. And the biggest thing, if you're going to be just starting out in No Man's Sky, the biggest thing you want to do is set up your technology so they're all together. So when you first start getting upgrades, you're going to be just randomized throwing stuff in there, right? But the biggest benefit, the biggest perk to doing this is putting them together. So look at this is a life support. That's my life support right there. And then I have my life support upgrades right next to it. But if I just randomly just place it out in the middle of nowhere, it's not giving me that much of a benefit. But if I put it next to each other, watch this. Now there's a blue highlight around the box. That is telling you that there is a bonus in place. Now you're getting a little bit extra protection. And the more boxes you have, the more of a bonus you're getting. I am going through this really, really simple. There's a lot of ways you got to position your upgrades. But the bottom line is position your upgrades in a way that helps you the most. The most obvious way to do this is to look at your damage on your multi-tool. This is the easiest way to do it. So let me show you what I mean by this. So I'm going to get rid of my visor. That way I have another space. So you see my damage potential right now is at 7,779 damage. But just by moving one of my upgrades, I use a bolt caster. I'm gonna move this one right out of the way, right out of the center. I just moved it. I did not even get rid of it, and it just dropped down to 6,200. I lost 1,500 damage just by moving it. I didn't even delete it. And if I put it back, it jumps right back up to 7,700. So placement is key. You want to place them in the perfect spot. And it's gonna, it's gonna change depending on your weapon and where you place it. So even if I keep them together, like if I move this one down here, it's gonna change these damage potential numbers. So you want to have the best placement ever. So look, it's still touching, but because it's not touching the better ones, so you want all of your big upgrades to be touching together. See how it's still touching, but it's in the wrong spot. I lost 500 damage just by moving it down. There you go. Boom. I lost 200 by moving it over. So you're going to have to move it around a little bit to get the best one. Now, sadly, you cannot do that for like your exosuit. You don't know because there's no stats. You don't know. You can't tell. So the best thing to do is to place something and then run. What I would do is like if you place your jetpack, place it down and then use your jetpack. See how long you can, boost up in the air. And then move it again and see if it changes. That's the only way to test how good your upgrades are when they're placed together. But overall, it's always better to have them at least together rather than separated anyway. And bonus tip, by the way, you can place 3 in each inventory. So you see how I have, look at, I have 3 shielding here and I have 3 shielding here. But if I were to take one of my extra ones out of here, it overloads because you're only allowed to have 3 of these store-bought upgrades at a time. So to get around that, to get a little bit of a bonus, put 3 in your tech inventory and then 3 in your general. That way you have 6. You could double up your inventory, your upgrades, without them overloading. Now you'll notice I have way more than 3 of these, but because one of these is actually an augmentation. So you see how right at the top of the screen it says it's an S-Class movement system upgrade. You can have 3 of these upgrades that you buy from a store, and then you can build one, but it's not going to count against you. So if I delete this one, when I say build, I mean if you go into your install technology, you can learn blueprints to build different things. And so you're going to have to buy and build all the extra cool stuff you want. So there you go. I want to build my airburst right there. I have the blueprint to build it. It's not an upgrade, it's an augmentation. There's a difference there. So that's why you can see, oh, he has more than 3 upgrades. Technically not. It looks like an upgrade, but it's not an upgrade. It's an augmentation. But that's how you would do that. So hopefully these tips will help you with No Man's Sky. If they did, hit that like button. And if you want to see more, subscribe to the channel. I'm always uploading videos all the time. And I will see you guys in the next one.